two things that match.
Hey, what's going on, Cowboys Nation? This video is just basically going to break down a recent injury to Randy Gregory's calf. They placed him on IR, minimum three weeks, and a lot of that is probably better than what it should have been, because these 3 weeks would have been like stretched out into actual 3 normal weeks. But since it's Thanksgiving and the Cowboys play 3 games in like 18 days or whatever, so hopefully, man, he's back as soon as he can with no setbacks. Now, I just been coming up with different thoughts, man. Like, this is like Randy Gregory was the best player that would have been on the other side of D-Law that we had in some time, even with Robert Quinn's success. Randy Gregory is a better pass rusher than Robert Quinn and D-Law. Randy Gregory's run defense is like Tank Lawrence's QB pressures, because we know that Tank Lawrence can stop the run on probably the highest level of a defensive end. He's one of the best defensive ends to stop the run. He's not the best pass rusher, but I think if you flip those things around, that's what you get with Randy Gregory. He's probably one of the best pass rushers off of talent alone in the league, and he's actually adding techniques to make him more lethal on that side of the ball. But he's probably just as good as a run defender as Tank Lawrence is a pass rusher. So this is my thing, man. Like, we can't never have these two guys on the field, man. Like, we had Gregory on our team and Tank Lawrence on our team for years, and this was always what we was waiting for. Gregory on one side, Tank on the other. Due to Gregory's issues, we can never even get him on the field, period, without the NFL just watching him like a microscope, keeping him just, at bay. Like, yeah, he can come to the stadium, but he can't play. So now we got everything worked out, and then this year, Tank has his injury issues, and that stopped him from being available to us almost the whole season. Well, he hasn't played all year, and just imagine how great this defense would have been if both of those guys would have been playing. And you look at it, it's no matter who's on the other side of Tank Lawrence, they get the most sacks. They're becoming one of the best or the highest sack number guys in the league. Randy Gregory is doing this without Tank Lawrence. You put both of those guys on the field where they both can stop the run and they both can rush the passer. You can't double You can't double both those guys. And then with the way Osa's playing in the middle, I'm just saying, man, I can't wait to playoff time, because that's finally I think that's going to be the time where we finally get to see the finished product of this defensive line. It's a lot of injuries going on, and then a lot of people won't be fully rejuvenated from these injuries to where they're playing comfortable and they're actually in game shape. And I think that's what everybody has their eyes on, man. The playoffs. It doesn't matter how many sacks you get in regular season, as long as you're good enough to make the playoffs. Let's see how we play in the playoffs. Because Gregory, man, he made some key plays in the playoffs. And the thing is, or I think it was, if it wasn't the playoffs, it probably was the game leading up to the playoffs to clinch. And that's when I forgot who we were playing, but he had a great game. He had 2 sacks, a forced fumble. He's the clutch defensive player, man. And this year, when you see him, I think that Broncos game was probably the worst game he's played like all year. And not just because of the score, but because they really checked him. He couldn't really impact the game as he once did all season. And I think that's what put him in a situation where maybe he wanted to practice a little bit harder. Maybe it wasn't his fault, but maybe it's the training schedule. Because this calf injury, man, it's a virus that's inflicted on our team on a weekly basis. It seems like big name players are receiving the same injury. And I don't know if they're practicing harder because they want to become, more valued to the team based off of they don't want the team down because they let up in practice or they didn't practice hard enough. And I understand that, but it might be deeper than that. It might just be these guys might be just getting pushed a little bit too hard in practice for these injuries to keep reoccurring. And it's like the new hamstring. Remember, everyone was getting hamstring injuries. Now you really don't see too many. You see them every now and then, but it seems like calf injuries and ACLs are like the prominent injury in the NFL. So I think, man, once we get everybody back in motion, and you get to see Randy Gregory and Tank Lawrence together, we finally got two things that match. And I think it's going to give every quarterback fits. So I hope and I pray that everyone gets back healthy and they keep that motivation going, and we get to see what we should have been seeing for the last 3-4 years. Number 94, number 90. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.